Leading versus ruling. I walk a path unclouded by doubts, a path of my own making. Come what may, my steps shall never waver. If you read that title again, you might think this is a matter of semantics. This question, or rather this comparison, is not simply a matter of definition and word choice. This is a description of stark and powerfully different philosophies, a dichotomy of ideals and a split in what we believe to be the truth of being the top of an order. This is the difference between ruling and leading. This question was raised in my first year of doing live streams on Twitch as I played Triangle Strategy twice through. Once on a blind playthrough, then for its golden path. The story of the game follows the journey of Serenoa Wolfort as he navigates his noble house Wolfort through the tumultuous war that erupts in the land of Norzelia. The story's themes of leadership and what it means to hold power are driven home by the actions of its characters. I believe the question of what defines leading and ruling can be found through analysis and interpretation of the characters and their tales. Of all the puzzle pieces to what defines a leader versus a ruler, the greatest piece of all is Triangle Strategy's conviction system. Actions in game are defined by the three convictions that the game and the scales of conviction are balanced on: morality, liberty, and utility. These convictions alone are a treasure trove of wisdom in regards to the qualities of a leader and a ruler. These qualities are needed to be an effective and capable leader. Utility refers to the pragmatism and logic required to make the best decisions possible. Liberty refers to the trust in one's comrades and subjects to allow those around you the chance to truly speak and grow around you. Morality is the compassion and empathy required to make choices ethically and with consideration for those it affects. Serenoa's story, when following the true ending path, shows the path to a person finding balance between these three concepts in order to become a true leader. While Serenoa tries to balance these aspects of leadership against each other, those around him in his group and the other leaders of the nations around him pursue their ideals at the expense of one aspect. The primary leaders of the two opposing nations around House Wolfort can give us an insight into what happens when a leader forgoes one of these convictions. Gustadolf Esfrost, were he a real man in this world, would make Machiavelli spin in his grave with how tightly he sticks to the playbook of a tyrant prince. His belief in the ends justifying the means, his commitment to meritocracy, as long as it benefits him, and the man's warped desire for power define him succinctly. If put to the lens of the convictions, Gustadolf exemplifies liberty and utility at the lack of morality. Put plainly, he wants people to pursue power and do what must be done regardless of the moral expense. Seeing Gustadolf in action highlights what happens to someone in a position of power who acts without morals in mind. He sends his siblings to win his battles for him, wrests control of the neighboring kingdom of Regnant for his gain, and even discards his uncle Svarog when he no longer believes him useful to his own machinations. Behind this ruler lay the remains of any uncooperative element, and destruction marks the warmongering he leads. In contrast to Serenoa, we see a leader unfettered by compromise through a desire for power, specifically for power's sake. Gustadolf leads with an iron fist and a hungry ambition for the world. But his rule is marred by issues, namely that he had to make enemies and directly attack those around him for his ends. He led many to ruin, and some would break away from him and oppose his ambitions in the end. Even his top general Avlora would abandon her post and raise a blade against his ambitions. But Gustadolf's ambitions run against the holy state of Hyzant and its religious leader, Eidor Delmira. Whereas Gustadolf is an open threat but allows entities that aren't direct threats to him be, Eidor is a shadowy and controlling demagogue for the religion under him. Eidor wants peace through total domination, to control all of the salt and power of Norzelia and to appear its savior. Comparing the two, Gustadolf is more classically evil, with his constant desire for power and justifying his pursuit for it, but Eidor desires something different, an end to all conflict through his ideals and the goddess. Eidor, when put to our lens, has morality and utility, even if his perspective is horrendously twisted by his lack of liberty. By not trusting the world around him to maintain a peace he approves, he works from his position as the speaker for the Hierophant, a person that he himself made, to commit atrocities to build his version of peace, a world without conflict and under his goddess. Without the trust in his subjects, he destroys those who would oppose him relentlessly. The chilling aspect of Eidor and Gustadolf together is the reality of their character. Name any major war and you can find a leader who would fit their ends. A grasp for power, a hope to cement peace through religious doctrine and total control. The acts of rulers, tyrants, not leaders. Returning to Serenoa, we can look again at his arc and see what makes a true leader. Through using the scales of conviction, we see him touch the truths of leadership. By consistently requiring the input of his followers, mechanically in-game, the other party members, he himself does not decide what they do, but rather facilitates the will of his people. It is only in his father's final advice that he finds the truth, that to truly lead, he must step forward himself. And he does, alongside his companions and towards their hope for their tomorrow. And here, we have all we need to describe leadership. Leading is the application of power and authority for the benefit of others. A leader thrives when their people do, requiring a selflessness that cannot be feigned. A true leader can still be described through the convictions from before. They are pragmatic, but not ruthless. compassionate but not soft-hearted, and trusts rather than demands. A leader trusts and respects their followers, not maintaining their position through demanding their position, but being placed there by the follower. Ruling contrasts leading through the intent. Rulers take control for the sake of their own gain. Some rulers are still fantastic examples of leading, but fall short in other aspects. Study the moves and tactics of any Roman emperor, and you may well see what their motives are within their lifespan as the head of the empire. Rulers and leaders both must have an understanding of who and what is within their jurisdiction. They both must apply power to achieve an end with support behind them. No position of power lasts long if their people refuse to move. But again, it is intent that differs between a leader and a ruler. A leader pursues their end for the sake of their people, whereas a ruler desires to gain. Power is what defines this intent. The quote, "absolute power corrupts absolutely," could summarize this well. Power is a corruptive force, and ruling is the application of power. Therefore, ruling is the corruption in practice. The use of power without clear and understood intent will corrupt someone irrevocably, even with good intentions. Even through our example of Eidor do we see this corruption. Peace theoretically is a great end goal, but destroying the world to claim it is not a universally accepted means to this end. So through the lens of their convictions, we have to find many of the traits of what makes a leader and what makes a ruler. But one piece yet to even further define the line is the willingness to stand down. When Serenoa finishes the task of defeating Hyzant and Esfrost, the country, not the man, though Gustadolf does reap what he sows, he does not become the king of all and take ultimate power. Rather, he makes the conscious decision to return to his house Wolfort and finally get married to his beloved Frederica, discarding power for his people and his own sake. But now to the best question: how does this matter to us? In our world, we have millions of positions of power. In any profession, there are managers and higher-ups. Social media grants people unprecedented power and sway across the world via the internet. Hierarchy, real or imagined, makes up the spine of everyone's world. Therefore, there are people who work to lead and those who desire to rule. Understanding what makes a leader and what defines a ruler can help us understand ourselves and those around us. Rulers punch down and kiss up for the sake of their power, whereas leaders lift up and walk forward. Through our own inspection, honest and with clarity, we can understand if we are fit to lead. Can we resist the temptations to expand our power? Can we act selflessly and use the power in our life for not simply our own gain, but for the benefit of those you lead? A great leader, someone who truly leads, understands the weight behind their power. No matter how mundane, they grasp that their actions have consequences. They use the power pragmatically, compassionately, and for those around them. And when it's time to let it go, they do so without regret. A true leader, above all, is human. They are not invincible. They will feel their own weight, and sometimes they will fall. True leaders never stay down. They walk a path unclouded by doubts, never wavering in their steps forward. Now, please go and play or watch Triangle Strategy. I cannot do its story justice here, and it is an absolute gem of a tale. I think this one's pretty good. It says I sidestepped the Kingdom of Regnant, and I focused on Gustadolf and Eidor because using them to compare against Serenoa, I think makes more sense story-wise. I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like it makes more sense to compare this way. I think it still works. I think it still works quite well. I do think that using the lens of the convictions is still a good tool. Without the context of the game behind it, I do believe that this argument can be a little flimsy. I think this one requires that somebody has played the game and can follow along with the analysis of the story, as well as the analysis of leadership. I think this one I could have also pulled a few more sources. I think having read Machiavelli's The Prince, I think I could have added a little bit more to the analysis side. I think with a lot of these, I was a little bit too succinct. I think I could have gone a little bit further. I think it's good that I keep these short. If someone wants to go deep diving, as long as I get their interest, as long as I get people to look at this, it's like, okay, cool. You now are interested in researching this topic. Fantastic. I'm the springboard, and you will go forward. I think that's kind of true for most of these, is that most of these essays feel like I had some good points. I do a good analysis, but it almost feels like I'm trying to be like Bill Nye. It's like, oh yeah, here's my sort of surface level, here, digestible in a reasonable time video, and then you get to then you go and research, right? And I think that's what this feels like. I didn't mention it in the last video, but this book is physically available on Amazon. I will include the links in every single episode, so if you wish to buy the book and read it yourself, you can buy it yourself and read it and possibly leave a review on it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and if you wish to find the rest of these videos, they will likely be in a playlist by this point. Thank you for watching this far into the video. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now. I'll see you soon.